Okay, hi, it's Jessie. I'm back again. And the first thing I want to do is make my screen bigger because it's like impossible for me to see this stuff right now. Oh wow, it's not doing the right thing for me though. Wow. Okay. Oh, that makes that more readable. Okay, look, I figured it out. Hey, hey. Okay, so I've been making these videos, right? I've been sick for a long time, not knowing what I was sick from. My disc got stripped away from me in like 2000 15, really 2012, because they took it away and they paid me during my appeal, right? But they stripped it away while I was really sick with something. And the funny thing is, in 2005, I got this diagnosis of myositis. I was told because I get this rash on my arm in the summertime where my arm swells up, the skin does, and it burns like fire, and then it stays until it gets cold. This burning hot rash stays. I can't be in the sun. It gets really painful. And then when it's healing, I get weird hair growth over it. So the doctor said a case. He told me in like 2005 that it was myositis. 2015, I see a rheumatologist because I'm really sick. I see a rheumatologist and a neurologist and a neuropsychologist, and they all got different things for me. Like the neuropsychologist told me that I was suffering with something, some kind. I don't remember what kind it was, right? The rheumatologist told me I had macrophyseal myalgia. These doctors they gaslit me with different diagnoses to make me think that um, to make it look basically like I was a hypochondriac, like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" What'd the doctor say? "Oh, he said I have microfibromyalgia." "Oh, what'd the doctor say?" "The doctor said I had MS." "Oh, what'd the doctor say?" "The doctor said I had arthritis." You know, doctor comes and tells you different things over and over again just to confuse you and make you lose your credibility, right? Because on paper she writes down that I had myositis. She didn't say this to me, but on the discharge summary, the office visit notes, the diagnosis on it said myositis. I guess she forgot to erase that one when she told me verbally that the diagnosis was macrophyseal myalgia. When doctors do this kind of thing, it kind of makes you look fraudulent. It kind of makes you look like you're a scammer, and it kind of really sucks, right? But I was thinking about this the other day. I never really thought about this whole myositis diagnosis until like last week. And since last week, I have been learning. And since I've been learning, I've discovered that, hey, my grandma had some of these symptoms. Like she had the photosensitivity, she had hip pain. She died when she had a hip replacement, and her body like rejected it. There were complications, right? So while I go through some of these symptoms, I have like little names noted to next to some of the symptoms, and it's because it dawned on me that, hey, my mom was suffering from this stuff all along. My mom has symptoms of this all along. My grandma's got symptoms of this all along. My kids have symptoms of this all along. I've had symptoms like all my life. My older sister Kathy, when she was 3, she broke her leg and she didn't heal. She didn't heal properly, so they diagnosed her with rheumatoid arthritis and started her on all these crazy drugs, gold shots and steroids and painkillers. She spent a lot of her life in a body cast. It was really, really hard for her till she grew up and they started putting ideas in her head that she never had rheumatoid arthritis, that that our mom was crazy, um, and that she has MS now. And as I'm reading this and I'm looking through the symptoms and the history, my sister Kathy, she has this one leg where it stopped growing when she was 12 years old. It still worked, but it didn't grow past the time she was 12 years old. There was a complete halt of development. Um, her fingers are mangled, um, and they said it was like horrible rheumatoid arthritis that mangled her fingers and made them cross over the way that they did. I haven't seen my sister in nearly 20 years, right? But from what I remember of her, and while I'm looking at these things, she had visual changes, which is why one of the reasons why they would diagnose her with MS, right? But if you read through some of the symptoms in here, this inherited inclusion body myopathy, it also has disturbances. And where Dr. S, the neuropsychologist, where he diagnosed me with this aphasia, because my grammar's bad, right? My grammar's bad. I'm deleting words. I can't remember words. I substitute general words when I can't remember a word. Um, I forget names of things, names of places. I can't keep track of things on a timeline. I haven't been able to do math since I was like 25 years old, honestly. And when I was 24, I was taking pre-calculus, calculus one at Illinois Institute of Technology, and though I only got a C in it, I passed. Right. So it, it's been a long roller coaster ride for me, where I just go through these things not knowing what I'm suffering. My mom, I think she spent her whole life going through things not knowing what she was suffering. She had all kinds of wild ideas for why she suffered the way she suffered. Like one of these symptoms is esophagus thing, right? The flap in the esophagus doesn't close, and a lot of times you asphyxiate, and this fluid, while you're eating and drinking, that flap is supposed to close so it can go into your belly, right? But the flap goes the wrong way, and you aspirate, you get food and drink in lungs, right? So my mom had this thing where she was always coughing up phlegm and coughing up bubbles, like consistently. And all they would tell her was that she had like acid reflux, and they told her that it was caused from drinking soda pop. Um, Now I know that like colas are corrosive, but when I when I read this stuff and I saw that with this condition, food goes up and down like regularly. And I know they gave her this like barium. I can't remember the name, but you drink something and it makes everything glow. So I know they gave her this test beforehand, and she had Raynaud's phenomenon, which is where your fingertips turn black and your hands are very cold. You have very It's very painful, very poor circulation. And her fingertips, they wasted. I don't want to say they fell off, but the tops of them turned into ulcers and it just crumbled off. So when I don't know if I'm in the right place for this, right? But she only had like half a nail, where my nail comes all the way up. She only had like half a nail, right? She had a long nail, but I mean, it was only attached like halfway point. So I'm going through this stuff and I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know enough about this condition to be able to speak on it credibly. So basically, when I'm making these videos, what I'm asking for is help. Help, because I can't see a doctor. If I see a doctor, they're going to gaslight me again. They're going to give me the wrong diagnosis. They're going to paint me as a scammer. There's an agenda behind me. And because there's an agenda behind me, I suffer in silence and I suffer quietly. And I suffer quite a bit. I suffer with condemnation all around me, with my neighbors thinking I'm somebody I'm not, with like my kids' school thinking I'm somebody I'm not, and they're all on this agenda to make me look like it. I got all these false witnesses, people saying I drink coffee with them. I don't drink coffee. I never drink coffee. It's disgusting to me. People saying I drink alcohol or I drink beer. I never drink beer in my life. It's disgusting to me. Wine, disgusting to me. I don't touch those things. But on the testimony of two witnesses, lies can look like truth, and that's what it is. And with all these lies that are going about me, I don't think that these people understand that they're denying me medical treatment in order that they can strip away my social security disability. And not only me, but they're skipping on diagnosis for my kids. Like my Benji has been having falls like all his life. When he was in preschool. He fell at the preschool and he broke the top the the bone in the top part of his arm, which is supposed to be the second most difficult bone in the body to break, right? Um, and then, they turn around and try to make it look like he wasn't in school when it happened, instead of, taking responsibility and actually like trying to figure out what was the reason for this fall. Was it something related to him? They automatically went into, let's ruin his reputation, and let's say that he has a behavior disorder and he's a troubled kid. Let's ruin the mom's reputation and call her a scammer. Let's avoid accountability at all costs, so that when mom gets the kids to the next school, because I pulled my kids out of that school with all the garbage they were doing. Now the next school is proving the case of the first school, and mom's sitting here going, "What is this all about? Are you running their agenda, or were they running an agenda for Social Security, and did Social Security just get this over? Social Security attacking me through these schools to get to me because I don't understand what all this stuff is about, but I know that it's depriving me, it's defrauding me of life. I know that because of what's going on that I can't get accurate medical help. So I'm putting this out here to say I don't understand everything. It's confusing, it's conflicting. If this one's the only hereditary myositis, and this isn't even a myositis, this is a myopathy. But then they say that the two are the same, except for the myopathy doesn't swell. And then they say it only happens later in life. One says it happens in your 20s. And then I did more research and I find that sometimes it happens in childhood. It's very rare, you know. And they say that if it's not treated in childhood, it causes calcinosis. And when we get to the end of my presentation here, I'm going to show you a little picture of my hand with some calcinosis spots. And if you look around my eye, I have some calcinosis spots here too. Okay, so let's see. Can I do anything here? Oh, it won't let me. Huh. It won't let me change screens when I'm recording this. Interesting. Oh, there we go. Now it's doing something. Um, so yeah. Another thing that I found interesting is that some Jewish people found me, and my rabbi friends, they give me great encouragement. They give me good counsel. And something weird on here. This condition is I don't want to say exclusive to Jewish people, because you see it's got people of other ethnicities in here, but by and large it's a Jewish disease. And I do remember a few years ago, going back and forth with my rabbi, like, wasn't my grandma a Jew? Because they might have converted to Christianity a while ago, and my grandma, she spoke Yiddish, so through my mom, my maternal grandmother, maternal grandmother, what going back, were they Jews? So when I see this, it's like, huh, maybe I am a Jew after all, right? Okay, so next. Oh, come on. Okay, this is just where I said, like, I already said this stuff that, it's inherited, and it comes with Paget disease and frontotemporal dementia. That's where I was talking about. Dr. S told me that I had some kind of um, aphasia, but maybe it wasn't aphasia that he was referring to when he was talking to me. Maybe it was some kind of frontotemporal dementia. And the reason why I believe this is because with frontotemporal dementia, um, you lose your ability to do math. I stopped being able to do math like a whiz when I was 25. I was a whiz before that, right? Um, my grammar was really bad. I have a master's degree, and I have a hard time putting a sentence together. So, I have a hard time organizing my sentence structure. I just get it out the best I can, and I think I'm gonna go back and clean it up later, you know? My rabbi friends tell me I talk like a teenager, and I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I didn't always speak this way." Um, keep on going, right? Okay, come on, work for me. Why are you lagging? Okay, so there's an overlap thing, which means that you can have more than one autoimmune disease at a time, right? Keep going. There's this one that's also hereditary, this familiar inclusion body myositis, but it doesn't. Some research says it doesn't kick in until later life, but then there's other things. There's this thing called JIM, JIIM, and that's where young kids have this inclusion body myositis, sometimes polymyositis. But then when you think if me and my kids suffer the same thing, it has to be hereditary. It can't be like sporadic. There has to be some kind of common to it. So it's this is where I'm struggling on how to figure it out. Um, so what else do we have? Oh, this is where they answered the question that no, they're not the same. They're entirely different diseases. They're seen in like different parts of your DNA. Myositis has like muscle swelling, right? Myopathy is, I can't see that little, can you see it? I hope you can see it. Um, the term hereditary inclusion body myopathy is becoming less common as individual disorders are being named by referring to their associated genetic defect. For example, hereditary inclusion body myopathy type 2 is now known as GNE myopathy since it's called by a mutation in the GNE gene. Okay, so you see it's going to be diagnosed differently. So even though they express similar features, they have similar symptoms, they're detected in the body in very different ways. Okay, so I was on this website, Cure IBM. It's down here. And I copied this over here because I thought it was funny. The symptoms when we're talking about it, it says many people first suspect something is wrong because of repeated falls. Yep. A crack in the sidewalk or the edge of a rug can send them sprawling. Yep. Because the muscles are not strong enough to correct for the light trip. Sometimes I can still catch myself. Sometimes a person will just crumble to the ground without warning as a knee suddenly gives out. Trouble standing up from a low chair or toilet is a typical inclusion body myositis symptom. Now, when we're talking about toilets, I can't tell you how many times I've had to replace this toilet seat, and I've had to fix my toilet seat like every other day since I've put it in because it's hard to sit down and it's hard to get up. Not just for me, but for my kid. I think my kid messes it up more than I do. um it just wobbles, and so you have to constantly get it tighter, you know that's one thing that I had to laugh about, like, huh, that's an expression of the disease when the toilet seat wobbles like that and I have to keep tightening it, right? So let's see, it may be necessary to push off with the arms in order to stand. It's also difficult to get up from the floor. Oh yeah, yeah. I do push up with my arms all the time. Stairs become a challenge, and this is where I'm like, hey, now you're speaking my language. Handrails are necessary. Sometimes both handrails are necessary, meaning the wall, right? And it may be impossible to carry anything while climbing the stairs. I can't carry things going down. It's super difficult. I usually dump the basket and throw it down the stairs, throw it over the banister if I have to do laundry because I can't carry it down. But if I absolutely have to carry it down, I lean on the wall. I hold the basket and the banister. So I got like 2 points of support at all time, even though I don't have both hands up. I lean on the wall and put my hand on the banister. And then I have my 2 points of support, and I feel a little more steady because otherwise, I don't know, I said this in the last video or not, but I always feel like I'm walking on wobbly stilts. I feel unsteady, like something could collapse at any time. I guess I had too many falls. It gave me some kind of PTSD where I have like this fear of going down the stairs and not holding on, you know? Um, for some IBM patients, going down is actually harder than going up. Absolutely. I can carry a basket up the stairs. I can't carry it down the stairs. That's a nightmare. Carrying things downstairs is a nightmare. Um, and then it just says like patients like progress from a cane to a walker to a wheelchair, right? Okay, next slide. Can I get there? Oh, hands. Weak grip is another inclusion body myositis symptoms. Common problems are difficulty opening jars, turning doorknobs, using keys, pulling on socks, and opening ziplocs. Operating bicycle brakes, pruning shears, or gas pumps may be problematic. I cannot get my cap off of my gas pump. I can't. I have to beg my kid's dad to put gas in my car because I can't open it. It's so hard because when you turn it like this. And I'm going to come to another slide that'll explain why it's so difficult for me because I never had this understanding. Like, I don't like to show anybody my finger because it always looks dirty. But apparently, this is a symptom, so I'm going to show it. Don't hate on me too much. Don't troll me for it. But this brown cracking skin right here, I've tried every kind of lotion to get rid of it. You can't get rid of it. It's called mechanic's hands, right? Also, I have this knuckle here that is hard and stiff. I got weakness in this finger. When I write from this point. I don't even use my index finger. I've never used my index finger since like preschool. I've never been able to hold like other kids. I've always had to hold it like and rest on my ring finger. I even have a little callus there that I've had my whole life, right? But turning the gas cap, you have to do it with the two fingers because it's a small space. And I have no strength in this finger, which is why I absolutely cannot turn the gas cap. So I thought that was interesting that it was on here, right? Golfers complain that clubs fly out of their hands. Well, I've never golfed, outside of mini golf, like a long time ago. Um, but I have other things fly out of my hands, like the hairbrush. The I straighten my daughter's hair, and at some point in straightening her hair, my hand goes numb. And when it goes numb, I lose control of it. I can't hold things. I don't have confidence. Like if I only have a few more like sections to straighten, I'll carry on with it. But I dropped the straightener on her and I'm like, please don't let me burn her. You know, I get really paranoid of that. So I don't have the complaint of the golf club flying because I don't golf. But I do have the complaint of I'm afraid I'm gonna burn my daughter one day because I dropped the curling iron or the straightener. Um, Fine hand motions may be impaired. Dressing becomes awkward due to buttons, zippers, and shoelaces. Handwriting may be slow and sloppy, and cutting food and handling utensils is clumsy. Absolutely, positively. I don't know if I mentioned this in my last video, but when I have to cut something, this finger it cracks and bleeds and hurts so much, because I have no strength in it. So while I got strength in this part of my hand and strength in my wrist still, my strength in this finger that you use for steadying the knife, this finger suffers so much, and I guess I should probably try to learn to use my other finger, but then how do you hold a knife to put pressure on with two fingers? My finger's so bent like that. So yeah, everything there is clumsy. Um, Next slide, please. Any day. I don't know if this is gonna work. Oh, this is just blood testing. Okay, next slide. This is the blood testing that needs to be done for this. I need to remember that for next time I bring my kids to the doctor. Um, yeah, so this is telling you in inclusion body myositis that the weakness is asymmetrical, right? With like the dermatological myos. I know I'm not saying it right. Dang it, the skin myositis. It's symmetric, the pains, but in the inclusive body one, it's asymmetric. And this is the problem that they had with diagnosing me. I think this is where they got thrown off because my pain is asymmetric. I have pain in both legs, but not in the same ways. You know, like I'll have muscle spasms down the back of my leg, often my butt cheek and coming down my leg. Um, I think it has to do with the way that my legs rotate, with the way that my feet rotate when I walk when I'm in pain. And I think that's what gives me muscle spasms and make me walk even more crazy. Um, yeah, I think that some of my pain in my legs is due to um, my limp. You know, because they say that the thighs are spared for last, right? And I know, like I said in my last video, that I don't really feel it so much in my thighs. Sometimes I get tightness, stiffness in my thighs, right? Particularly when I'm going up the stairs, but it's more in my knees when I'm going up the stairs. But mostly I get these spasms down the back of my legs. And I think it has to do more with how my feet hit the floor, more with my wobbly stilts because I got the pain down the side of my legs, right? Um, if that makes sense to anybody, right? So now at this point where I start putting symptoms, right, I got what affects me and what affects my kids. Ben and Alana are my kids. They both fall a lot. um, Ben doesn't fall if he's got his shoes on. His shoes have braces in them. He doesn't fall as much. But if he's barefoot, he still falls. Like he did e-learning last week, and he had to do PE, and he didn't have his shoes on, and he sure enough fell twice during PE. Um, if he doesn't have something keeping his foot like supported, he's gonna fall. Yeah, the thing with the fingers, I already explained that for me. But Ben has the same problem. He can't hold a fork long enough to eat his food, and he eats with his hands. You know. Um, Next slide. I got a bunch of these. I can get them. I don't know like why it's so laggy. Oh, so here we go. Difficulty swallowing aphasia. This is not one that I have. The aspiration pneumonia. My little Lonnie, Alana, she has been getting colds like for the past 2 years. She has heavy duty colds. She has shortness of breath. Um, she gets mild fevers. Um, but she just had a bout with pneumonia, actual pneumonia. I had to take her to the doctor. She had to get chest x rays. And when I read this, I can't help but wonder if she's been aspirating, and that's the reason why she coughs so much. Um, Trying to clear her lungs out, right? Um, the doctors don't give me credibility right now. They haven't really been treating my kids. Like I told you, I brought them to the doctor and told them there's something wrong with Ben's feet. And for years, they just told me he needs exercise. He's just fat. He's just lazy. You need to get him exercising. And I'm like, well, if his feet were okay, I would be able to get him exercising. Stupid gaslighting doctors. They'd rather make me look like a bad parent than help me with my kids who are actually suffering. You know. Um, so what else do we have? Quadricep muscle increased difficulty rising from seated position. Yeah, that's me. but it's not my quads that I think are affected. It's my hips. My hips are stuck. Like it's like paralysis in my hips. I can't like force them to get straight on their own. I don't have like the muscle there or something. And so I got to give a little push to get to the point where I can use my other muscles to straighten up because my hips are stuck, you know. So here we have increased risk of falls from balance issues, collapsing knee or foot job. Me, banana Lana, like I said, difficulty turning over in bed. Oh yeah, that's me. I can't roll. It's very painful to roll. Progressive weakness in the hands and fingers, causing problems typing, writing, pitching, punning, using utensils. Yeah, I already said that. And swelling in the feet. Yep. Okay. The other things that I don't think are an issue. And now these are the muscles affected in uh, inclusive body myositis, right? Um, let's see, I get my mouse because you can't see my hand on the screen. These are the muscles that hurt the most right here. These ones just get tight. Like it gets tight on the inner thigh a lot, but also on the outer thigh. Um, but it doesn't really hurt. At the back of my legs, I get bad spasms. My forearms, when I'm typing or writing, I do feel the pain in my forearms. When I'm doing my daughter's hair that requires a twisting motion, I feel the pain in my forearms. Um, Next slide. So this is about diagnosing it, and it tells you about the things that they got to find in the blood. Um, I have to go back here because this sounded like an interesting article to me. I didn't get through it though. European League Against Rheumatism, American College of Rheumatology. Like I know America kind of sucks for diagnosing things, especially with their whole gaslighting thing, where they want people to pretend like they're okay, like they can speak into them like little evil prophets saying, if I say you're okay, you're okay. And if you're not okay, you're faking. You know, you have a horrible disease. If I said you're okay, you're okay. And if you're not okay, you're a fraudster. You're a scammer. American medicine, yeah. I do wonder how much of that is in this article because these freaking people here, man, I don't even want to go to the doctor. Okay, I got another page on here. Oh, more blood testing and then more signs and symptoms. And here again, I put who's been affected, who I seen, right? I already told you about the bumps on my hands, the Gottron's pop. Oh no, that's this rash on down here. Like it's not very red right now because I haven't been like working so much today. I've been reading a lot. But as I work with my hands every day, it turns red. I use Eucerin cream and also the EOS hand cream, and it kind of helps with the redness and the dryness, but it's still very dry. And when I start working with it, it'll feel like it's chapped. Um, okay, so itching and changes in the scalp. Yeah, that's my son, my 22-year-old son. He's got a receding hairline, but he had dandruff for several years, and so does my daughter Livy. Um, can you see my cuticles? They're not the best. Sometimes I get a lot of hangnails, especially when I'm sick. You know, those little things that are raggedy at the ends of them, and those burn so bad. Yeah. Um, Fatigue. Yeah. Low grade fever. Yeah. My mom went from a size 16 to a 4 in a year, and they didn't have Ozempic when she did it. Um, Muscle pain, yeah. Next page. This hoarse voice, yeah, that's me. My mom always called it laryngitis. Not laryngitis again. Yeah, no, ma, it's not laryngitis, it's myositis, right? If only I had been, you know, if only they had this stuff available on the web so long ago. I don't even remember if I Googled myositis when Dr. Sedekase told me I had it. I don't even think I Googled myositis when the rheumatologist told me I had it. I didn't Google myositis until last week. And then once I read it, I was like, wow. But they're still on the background of me, still calling me a scammer and whatnot, and it sucks, right? Uh, so gastrointestinal issues, yeah. Calcinosis, oh, yeah, I'll show you a picture of that. I have some on my heel too, that's pretty gross. Um, Raynaud's phenomenon, I talked about my mom. Okay, and aspiration pneumonia, that's Lonnie. Okay, and then this is just a description of the rashes that come with dermatomyositis. And then this is the big one with all the symptoms in myositis. And I've been through most of these, so I'm not going to go over them again. It's just, I was copy and pasting the different things because there's like one or two in here that weren't on the other one. So, oh, yeah, this one's interesting. Early signs of HIBM. This was really interesting for me because, gosh, dog it, my kids are toe walkers. I sometimes walk on my toes because I get heel pain, right? We're reading from down here. And the other thing that they said was that the index finger is weak. That's an early sign. And that's actually the one finger I have that's dry and it's like mechanic's hand. I got this thing on my knuckle. My other finger, I have some of the nodules, whatever you want to call them, one there, one there, one there, and here. But otherwise, they're not so bad. But my index finger, oh man, this one makes me want to quit, quit everything because when your index finger don't work, you can't do anything, right? It's very hard to compensate when trying to cut up food. Um, but this whole mechanics thing on my index finger, um, I thought it was from peeling potatoes. I thought it was the acid from potatoes. And I know now that that sounds crazy, but I know that we make crazy excuses when we don't understand our conditions. And I know a big problem with doctors is that they like to say, why is it like that? And then they'll write down in their notes, patient says her hand looks the way it does because she peels too many potatoes. And because you've said what the cause is, they don't feel it's their obligation to count that as part of your illness, part of a symptom, part of your diagnosis, because you already said this is from peeling potatoes. It's not from peeling potatoes, but when I peel potatoes, that it does like really get brown here and really disgusting. I don't know, it's the acid in there opening up everything or what, potato acid. I don't know what it is, but it gets really bad. But I know it's not from peeling potatoes. It's been like this for years. I I know it's this mechanics thing. The potatoes just exacerbate it. So doctors, stop being jerks and stop making excuses for things. Taking the patient's word for it when you got a duty or an obligation to note these things because they're part of a bigger diagnosis. I'm not suffering from a case of peeling too many potatoes. Basically, my speech isn't off because I peeled too many potatoes. I don't limp because I peeled too many potatoes. You know, it's like, come on. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go to the next slide if I can get there. Um, oh, this is where I read this article on juvenile idiopathic inflammatory myopathies, and it says that kids can have the IBM, you know, the inclusion body myositis. They can have the polymyositis. They can have the juvenile dermatological myositis. And I know I'm messing up that one because I can't get the name right in my head. I'm sorry. Um, derma- I can't do it. I have to go back to the other screen to see what it is, and I can't go back that far right now. It takes too long. That's part of this aphasia, like Dr. Russ would say, or frontotemporal dementia, you know. Next screen, please. But it's just to say that, well, everyone says these things don't occur until you're an old lady or whatever. These things occur in childhood, and there is evidence supporting it, you know. So I have like a little dot right here, if you could see it, and another one right over here, if you could see it. I don't know if it's clear on this screen. It was clear in the picture when I took it, but let's do it this way. Can you see me now? I have a little dot right here and another one right here, and that's calcinosis. I got another one over here and one over here. That's calcinosis, okay? That's part of this condition. Um, and that's all my screens that I have. So, like I said, this stuff really confuses me. I don't know what's wrong with me, and if anybody has any information or can help me with these things, can offer me some insight. It's not just for me, it's for my kids, you know. Um, I listed on here like what my kids are suffering, you know. So if you can point me in the direction of understanding and maybe some help for coping with, um, I'd appreciate it much. So I'm going to stop my video now and I'm going to say God bless and have a good day.